if you didn't know, a woman's perspective.
Welcome back to Geordie Media with Ben, Paul and Lotty, the show where we talk all things gaming news, light entertainment and heavy sarcasm. We've got loads to crack onto. The biggest one I really want to talk about right out the gate is like the FaZe Rain / what's it called, Grace Van Dien news, which is the girl who played Chrissy from Stranger Things.
In one episode.
In like, what was it, one episode? Yeah, like
one, two?
Yeah, and then I guess a corpse was in it for a bit, wasn't
it? Yeah. What? She's the daughter of Casper Van Dien, I think that's his name, the guy who did Starship Troopers.
All right, okay.
There's my little random info for you, so continue with your news. We didn't need that. Added it anyway. You're welcome.
I like it. I love it. I can't even say IMDb with Paul.
He knows some stuff.
Yeah, he's read stuff. We've all read stuff. And that was all for this week. Here at Geordie Media, we can read.
Yeah.
What a weird brag.
Some of the words.
Yeah. Some of the words, some of the time. Right, so obviously, when I need to kind of explain the situation to Lottie, really, essentially, is FaZe is like a big gaming org known for like shooters in particular that kind of like built themselves their bread and butter on like Call of Duty. I think you've watched some FaZe Jev videos with us, you know, the guy who's got like the perm and plays Call of Duty all the time. So like FaZe is like this quite a big gaming org from back in the day, and it was back when you know, like Call of Duty was just starting to blow up on the internet, so like Call of Duty 4 and whatnot, and one of the things that they were known for was like trick shots, where it'd be like, you know, you'd jump off like the crane in one of the maps and do like a 360 no scope and all that, and they'd make montages and stuff like that. And like all kind of orgs, it was like humble beginnings. It was like, I think it was like some like sub 10 guys started FaZe. And then it became like, obviously as the videos got more and more money and the company got more and more money, it became its own kind of beast. So there's loads of people who like join FaZe, but normally previously it would be like the people who were signed to FaZe made sense because it was like that person plays Call of Duty and is like is in that community and is from that time. And then obviously they've just signed Grace Van Dien, who is essentially a celebrity. Like that's what her kind of, that's what she's bringing to FaZe essentially. And there's nothing wrong with that in the sense of the company can do what they like, but obviously original members aren't going to be happy about them bringing on essentially a casual. I'm not saying she's a casual gamer, but like I would say she was a casual to the FaZe community, because like she wasn't known in FaZe like at the time or anything. Like people don't know her as like, she doesn't play Call of Duty. Not that that's a prerequisite or anything. She plays Valorant and she's very good at Valorant. So like there was a bit of backlash online that like kind of came out for it, and he said like, you know, they're signing people who don't even know what a trick shot is. And then she clapped back at the guy, and fair enough, like it's kind of fine to clap back at someone saying that, but I do kind of think like she went a bit too harsh in the sense of, it didn't upset me, and it wouldn't upset me if I was him in his shoes, and I don't think it upset him, but it like, I could see why people took it the wrong way. Basically, she clapped back and said, well, you know, you're saying like nobody knows me for a trick shot, but I only know you as the guy who was like, who OD'd or something, was like an ex-drug addict.
He says that I don't even know what a trick shot is. You're right, I don't. And I know that that's kind of what you're known for, but I know you, Rain, as the person who almost overdosed on a live stream.
Which he was.
OD'd on cam, yeah.
And it like he was, but it like seemed a bit fucking extra to bring that up, like.
Yeah.
Hey, you never argue with a woman scorned. Oof.
Well, I mean, have you seen the video since?
So then that's the next part. So there was that, and then what happened was he apologized to her in DM saying like, look, you got caught in the crossfire. I don't know you personally, and it was nothing personal about you. It's just like, back then, you got to think of like Call of Duty lobbies back in the day. It was just like people swearing and saying like racist shit all the time. Like that's what every Call of Duty lobby was. It was brutal. You kind of had to be like, like what's the word, kind of like desensitized to it to survive like a Modern Warfare 2 lobby back in the day.
Nobody cares. It's not a feat. Anyone can do that.
Because, you know what I mean? You'd either go on and you'd like be laughing because it was hilarious, all the shit that was taught, or you'd mute everyone. Like those were like your two options. And now that doesn't really happen. I think most people mute people instantly now, but it was a different time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like she's not from that kind of thing, and I understand like clapping back, but like that went from like. That's like me saying like you're rubbish at Nintendo, and then you're like you're a terrible person, and you're like, that's quite a jump. You know what I mean? Like you're only your failings, and you're like, what? Like that seems a bit. But he wasn't that upset about it.
He called her mid,
didn't he? Apologized, didn't he?
He said she's mid.
Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, which is nothing. I mean,
he called her mid, which is now. Yeah.
And at risk of not trying to sound sexist,
it's not even an insult,
because like. I mean, it's the internet, and any opinion is the worst. Like, her response was such a female response. It was like, oh, you've said something about gaming, and she's like, well, you did drugs. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like that. It's like, well, I broke up with the next. Well, she has a tiny wiener. Like, that's kind of the energy she had with her response.
It did. Yeah, it was pretty extra to be like. It's just like, you're not very like versed in the history of FaZe, and you're mid, and it's like she's objectively a beautiful woman who was literally hired as the head cheerleader in Stranger Things.
Yes,
and head cheerleaders are typically cast as beautiful women, so she was like, she's objectively a good looking woman.
Well,
so like her being called mid should be like water off a duck's back, like she shouldn't even fucking feel it. You know what I mean?
That was her
and
response.
Then she's
like,
and you're a fucking
mid.
druggie,
and
like,
it was immediately clap back with, yeah, but didn't you almost die? And then laughed like, you almost died on stream. Go ha ha ha. And like he took back what he had said. He was like, wow, I shouldn't have said that. Fair enough. And then like they did this video together, and they did a meet up, and then you've got people who are just like biased on either side. Like, well, they like her from Stranger Things, so they're taking her side no matter what, or they like the FaZe clan or whatever it is. But like the whole thing is just a mess. Like, if you look back on the history of these people, like there's a lot of issues, a lot of people with like being homophobic and stuff like that. That drawing attention to themselves for just being super toxic. Like, isn't it supposed to be about the games?
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
So, like, we're kind of above it in the sense of not above it, like, I'm better than them. Not that. I mean, above it in the sense of, like, I'm not a FaZe, like, guy. I watch some FaZe Jev videos, and that's the only person from FaZe I actually watch videos from. And I'm not, like, I wasn't into, like, I played all the Call of Duties, but I wasn't, like, into the trick shotting community, and I didn't, back then when Modern Warfare, like, 2 came out, I was barely watching YouTube. Most people weren't, you know what I mean? Now it's probably my main source of entertainment. I don't watch telly normally. I watch YouTube or streaming services. But, like, back then I wasn't, so I'm not FaZe related, and I enjoy Stranger Things. But like,
that's it. I didn't even know these people existed. To be honest, like I knew there's like esports teams. Like I didn't know those things, but I never knew about the FaZe clan or what have you. And I mean, I'd only known of her through that episode of Stranger Things where she dies. And I don't get us wrong, I think she did a good job in that show.
Yeah.
But I just think it's drama now. Everything on the internet is drama for drama's sake, and everybody wants the tea. Do you know what I mean? So he said something, so everyone's waiting for her to clap back like a response. It's like rappers used to do diss tracks, but now everybody's got a beef with someone, and they're just taking to Twitter to air these ridiculous beefs. But I think personally, her turning around and saying like basically you're a crackhead, like that. He called you mid. Do you know what I mean? That was it. And then she was like, yeah, but you almost OD'd. I was like, it took it to 11, which is
so.
Yeah.
So it escalated even beyond that. So she decided that she wanted to have a meetup with him to like air it out. And he was like, I just want to do it over Discord. So he was like, I just want to do the Discord chat. Like, you don't need... And she was like, no, I'll come to your house. And he's like, all right, well, if you want to. So she came to his house and they recorded the video and you can watch the whole video. And it's like she just plays the victim the whole video. And it made things so much worse because... She was just because he was literally like, yeah, well, like I'm not doing it to you because I kept saying like I don't know you, so like me insulting you isn't like really a personal attack because I'd have to know you personally to personally attack you, like, and that is a kind of point. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like if I write fuck Kanye on Twitter, like Kanye is not getting one, he's never going to fucking say it, but ultimately he's not going to be butthurt off some guy who doesn't fucking know who doesn't know him. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of, you know what I mean? It's that kind of vibe where it was just like, unfortunately, yes, I agree that, you know, like online is quite toxic in general, and like places like Twitter, and you know what I mean, like putting yourself out there.
Well, that's it.
Like us right now, anyone
Yeah.
can write whatever the fuck they like in
That's
the
it.
comments, but I'm not going to be upset about it. Do you know what I mean? But some people, you'll know in particular, Paul, because obviously Paul, you should follow Paul, the Geordie Nerd, has a very successful channel and does get like dodgy
Yeah.
comments. You know what I mean? You get people who are mad for like no reason.
That's it.
Sometimes that's just unfortunately the internet. And like, yes, I agree, it sucks, but it's the same kind of thing of like, you know, you don't walk down a dark alley at night. You should be safe down a dark alley, but it's still common sense and not fucking do it in the first
Yeah.
place, or like accept that
Yeah.
that's what
Well,
that
Yeah.
is. So, like I said, it escalated, and the conversation that they had was fucking
Yeah.
unproductive as fuck, and it made both parties look bad. But she basically was like getting upset and getting in her feelings, and he was like, well, he's like, I don't understand the thing, because he's like, I could get upset and be like, well, how dare you bring up, you know, like the lowest time in my life? How dare, like, but he was being like making a point, like he actually doesn't feel this way, and he's like saying, I could bring up my, like, be like, how dare you bring up the lowest time in my life? How could you bring up the time like I
Yeah.
nearly died, which meant my mom wouldn't have had a carer or whatever? Like I could have been upset about that, but I wasn't,
Yeah.
because it's just like, that's like, and then she started crying and then got up and left, and it's just like,
Yeah.
it's
The
weird because
narrative
it's like,
wasn't
I
going
didn't even
her
want her
way,
to come
was
to my
it?
house.
So she was
wanted to
like,
come to
well,
the
I'm going to
house,
bring
and
on the
then left, and, like,
tears.
we're ganging up.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So then, yeah. And then she walked out, and she said to the guy who was filming, she was like, hey, I don't know who that was, but she said like,
Yeah.
tell them
Because
like,
she
if this
knew
goes
she
up on
looked
the internet,
bad.
then I'm
She
leaving
knew,
FaZe.
didn't she? She was
And then
like,
she shut the door, and
I'm
then
not getting across that
she
I'm the
looked-
one who's the victim now anymore. So if you try and manipulate the situation as if to say, well, if
Yeah.
I'm leaving, if he's they posted it anyway, so bravo to them.
Am I
Fuck
not a
all that.
compliment woman? You don't know me.
Are you getting emotional?
Yeah, I don't like you.
Okay, that's fine. You brought things up against me. How do
I
you
think
expect me
you're
to
a
react?
terrible person. I don't owe you an explanation, actually. Macho, tell Vera that I'm not doing this video, and if they release anything, that I'm leaving, please.
To be fair to her, the one point, like, I can, like, you know, where I felt slight sympathy with, which was like, well, my goal is I'm trying to get sexism out of gaming, and I agree that's a mint fucking thing, but I
Yeah.
just think it's like it's like Reddit and fucking Twitter will never not be toxic. They just
Well,
won't.
that's it. That's it.
As long as they're open and people can fucking put a fake profile on, people are going to say wild shit. That's the anonymity of the internet.
Yeah.
Do you know
Well,
what I mean?
that's it. Yeah.
Unless we did some sort of online ID where it was like a passport and that was the only way you could get access to the site. And then what also would happen is people would stop going to that website and go to the site. You don't have to do that.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
Until then, people will say wild shit on the internet.
Exactly. But I mean, I do think that's admirable. That's why she's doing it. I think that's great because I mean, I do believe that women should be safe to game on the internet and not be called all the names they're called.
Yeah.
I mean, it's genuinely great. But again, like you say, everywhere's toxic, and it's not going to happen unless measures are put in place, and they're just not going to do that, are they?
So, I mean, for me, I think fair play to her for standing up to herself, because he says it wasn't personal, but you know, she's had this great news and he's shit on it effectively because he's been pissy about it. I do think that going to his house is weird. I think if you're going to have an argument with somebody, you just wherever it is. And I do agree, the internet is very toxic. However, from like, if you didn't know, a woman's perspective, I think that, you know, jumping in both feet to defend yourself, I say fair play, because people do take the piss. As a female gamer, like I've had to mute chats just because people have found out I'm a woman. I've had lobbies, especially like Call of Duty. One of the reasons I don't play online, I've had lobbies where I'm ganged up on just because I'm a woman. I get comments on my social media and all that. Being online is hard. Being online is hard, and it is very toxic. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, but I'm sort of a little bit more on her side, because I think, you know what, he's had a pop for no reason at all at her personally. Yes, she did kind of go
But the thing is, I
straight for
don't
the jugular, but
to be fair though, I don't think he initially like added her. So I think he was just said like, oh, another like weird signing, because they're signing someone who doesn't really make sense to FaZe.
Yeah.
but
Whereas
that's
I
still
would
an attack
I
on
would
her
disagree with him.
though.
But then, I mean, would you say defend The Rock when The Rock announces a new film and everyone's like, fuck's sake, not another Rock film? Because that's good news for him,
No,
isn't it?
'cause
Like,
I-
that's a good day for him.
Because because I am one of the people that's like, for fuck's sake, not him again.
Well,
not
exactly.
this guy.
So, like, you know what I mean? Like, why is she like, why is she's particular? Like, why is her news particularly more special than anyone else's? Like,